A head-to-head match between the veteran Protoss players of GSL and the up-and-comers of Europe. The flawless, strongest player of GSL, whose subtle strategic skills shine. Classic. From Europe's prospect to Europe's representative Terran player, he has successfully advanced to his second consecutive BlizzCon, HeRoMaRinE. After qualifying for the BlizzCon for 2 years, he once again proves the strength of a GSL Protoss. Hero. After taking down the undeniable best in the world, Serral, he made it to his first BlizzCon. The Zerg prodigy, Raynor. The battle between the GSL Protoss players who have established themselves as the veterans of the scene and the ambitious super rookies of Europe who are looking to go full throttle. The 2019 WCS Global Finals, Round 16, Group C.
연초부터 포인트를 잘 쌓아놔서 무조건 블리즈컨에 간다라는 생각을 갖고 있었고 이번에 이렇게 가게 되어서 너무 좋네요. 아마도 군입대전 마지막 오프라인 대회가 될 것 같아가지고 큰 세계 대회다 보니까 저도 기대를 많이 하고 있고 진짜 마음 같아서는 멋있게 우승하고 가고 싶네요. 아무래도 블리즈컨이다 보니까 쉬운 조는 없을 거라고 생각을 하는데 그래도 비조에 비하면 좀 괜찮아 보이더라고요. 첫 상대가 좀 자신 있는 테란전이기 때문에 조는 괜찮은 것 같아요. 저만 열심히 준비한다면 충분히 8강을 갈 수 있을 것 같습니다. 아무래도 만날 확률이 크고 솔직히 그때 지고 나서 복수를 하고 싶다라고 생각이 들어서 예전에 만나고 싶었거든요. 근데 지금은 또 저그전이 좀 힘들어가지고 또 레이너 선수가 굉장히 그 사이에 더 잘해줬더라고요. 그래서 복수를 하면 좋지만 만난다면 또 쉽지 않은 상대인 것 같아요. 지금 저그가 강세기도 하고 레이너 선수가 잘한다고 생각이 들어서 레이너 선수가 가장 경계되는 것 같아요. 제가 작년에 블리즈컨 16강에서 탈락을 했는데 작년엔 너무 좀 안일하게 준비를 했던 것 같아요. 그래서 이번에는 꼭 16강에서 탈락하지 않도록 벌써 열심히 준비하고 있고 또 남은 기간 준비 잘해서 이번엔 꼭 8강 올라갈 수 있도록 하겠습니다. 요새 되게 잘하던데 저도 테란전은 자신 있어가지고 패자조로 보내드리도록 하겠습니다.
I'm very happy with my performance this year and qualifying for the global finals for the second year in a row is something that I didn't expect. Going into this year, I wasn't expecting to get the finishes that I got, but in the end I even think that I played better than last year. So I feel like this year I really deserved it and I'm really happy because I improved so much this year as well. I think it doesn't matter what Korean Protoss you get in your group because they're all pretty powerful. So even like Hero, who a lot of people don't think of very high, he's like extremely good and definitely better than me. So any Korean player is always scary in any group. At the same time, I have Raynor in the group, who's by far like the second best player outside of Korea besides Serral. So having him instead of any other non-Korean that isn't Serral or him is a pretty rough draw, and therefore I think for me personally I'm in one of the worst groups because I think the two Koreans, it doesn't really matter, all of them are really good, and then I got the only foreigner that is like also a top Korean level. I think right now for me personally it's harder to play against Protoss, especially if I play against Korean Protosses that I don't really know, since my biggest issue and one of the biggest issues in PvT in general is that the Protoss has many strategies that they can use, and even though I think Zerg right now is stronger, the unpredictability from Protoss makes it very hard for me to prepare And it's definitely something that can catch me off guard, whereas against Zerg, I think I don't really get caught off guard, so I think my chances are higher in TvZ than in TvP. I prefer playing against Protosses that play more aggressively, so I prefer Hero, because I think if you play against Terran more aggressively, you give the Terran a better chance to win, since straight up gameplay for the Terran right now is not the best, I think. So one of the best ways to win is if the Protoss is too aggressive, which I think Hero a lot of times does. My mindset for the round of 16 in the global finals is pretty realistic, I would say. I think that I'm the worst player in my group, since 3 of them are definitely better than me. Therefore, I'm going into the group as an underdog, which isn't something negative, because I think the underdog always has the best mindset, since there's not a lot of pressure. It was similar to last year, but I think this year I have what it takes to beat a lot of good players as well, like the very best players, which I don't think I had last year. So that gives me a lot more confidence playing in this year's round of 16.
G'day StarCraft fans, I am Maynard and with me is Artosis. This match is going to be amazing, but what's even more amazing, Dan, is we have built a replica of the studio in a football stadium in Seoul to make it look like Big Gabe is in the studio with us.
That's right. He's being filmed elsewhere and holographically projected into the seat as a normal-sized man.
Surrounded by the military just in case he gets angry after his best of 5 if the results aren't what he expects here, and then goes on a rampage destroying skyscrapers and no doubt millions of people.
Well, you know what? According to that interview, I almost feel like he expects to lose.
It's bad news for the Korean military.
Yeah. I don't know. This match overall, I was very excited to go in. I was very happy to be able to cast this with you, because I think that this is an actual very exciting close match.
I agree.
But after watching those interviews, like Classic is really confident, HeRoMaRinE is not. But I was like actually kind of feeling it the other way. I feel like HeRoMaRinE is so close to breaking through. He's so strong. I actually thought before those interviews he was going to win, and I actually kind of still do.
I still do as well. Whenever I see Big Gabe doubt himself and put himself down, or has what he says, quote unquote, a realistic mindset.
Yeah.
He has the skills to pay the bills. He's been showing us time and time again. He's here for a reason. He's doing great and consistently overseas. And even though he is a pretty standard, and I would even say at worst, a predictable Terran, he's extremely good at dealing with those aggressive Protosses like he mentioned. And even though he didn't mention Classic along with Hero, Classic has been a very aggressive Protoss in this matchup lately.
That is very, very true. Like, he can play those standard longer macro games, but he does like to mix it up early, and I think Gabe is going to be able to hold on.
Well, the first game is loading up, guys. Let's get into our first game of the day. HeRoMaRinE versus Classic. Let's do it. In the top left here in the red, the Korean Protoss. He is
Makers Classic.
in the bottom right here in the blue, the largest Gabriel I have ever seen. He is
Mouse Esports, HeRoMaRinE.
I'm excited. I really, actually, truly am. Like, I feel like HeRoMaRinE is, he's kind of like the trap of the WCS scene, the circuit scene, where I think he's a lot better than anyone's given credit for, and everyone already knows he's good and says he's good. But I really feel like he is, you know, everyone's like, oh, well, Raynor, I mean, you know, this is the next guy, and he kind of is. But like, I feel like HeRoMaRinE is going to be one of those guys that's winning championships within a year or two.
I'm with you completely. I think the reason why that never sort of clicked in my brain is that HeRoMaRinE doesn't have a GG Imini yet. He doesn't have a Gemini. There's no one out there with, well, to my knowledge, no one out there that has every single match result he's ever posted and also have downloaded every single picture that's ever been taken of him.
Yeah.
To reference in every single social media post.
I think eventually there will be someone like that.
No
but
doubt.
for
no
now,
doubt.
I'm just going to tell everyone that he's underrated. He's really good. He's coming along.
I agree with that completely.
I think it takes a long time to solidify as Terran. I think you can solidifies Zerg play a little bit quicker. The Terran builds are a little bit more complex, I would say. And I'm not a Terran player in StarCraft 2, so everyone be quiet about it. Oh, you're just biased or something. I don't play Zerg or Terran. I play Protoss. But I think that, you know, it takes a while to gain real stability as a Terran player so that you're always up at the top. And we see, for instance, you know, Special, it took him a while, but he's been up at the top of every tournament for a long time. And now HeRoMaRinE is joining him there, you know, and we can see, like you mentioned, the predictability aspect. He is predictable. He does pretty much the same stuff all the time, but that is because he's kind of stabilizing and gaining this really high base skill, you know?
Yeah, he's really, he's a big believer in Terran standard play, even though he just said that he doesn't really think that it's how you want to really play against Protosses at the moment and how you want to play against, you know, Zergs at the moment. Certainly, you know, a lot of the, either the Protosses and the Terrans have been complaining about how hard Zerg is right now. But we got a Stargate opening here from Classic, and this is pretty interesting. So we've seen Stats do a little bit of the Stargate build in PvT as well. He tried against Maru, and considering HeRoMaRinE almost opens always with a Wintermine drop, I think he might be taking a minute here, especially considering this Reaper is, you know, scouting everything, just to make sure he's secured from the harassment from the Stargate before going out there and committing with this drop. Just to, you know, this is basically the only early game presence as a Terran you have unless you open with Hellions.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Like, I could see him switching it all up because of that. You know, if you fly across the map with a medevac and 2 mines and it doesn't do any damage, then an Oracle flies in your base, you're basically dead at that point against a player at the level of Classic, so he's definitely got to be careful about that.
And the Widow Mines are already been burrowed in the mineral line, so he's not waiting for that, not keeping them tucked in next to those Marines, waiting for that medevac. And as Classic heads towards taking a third Nexus here on Thunderbird, it's extremely easy to do for all the races, really. HeRoMaRiNE's going to get a Tech Lab here on this factory, no doubt, well, actually very likely here, for something like a Cyclone. But he is getting a Viking as well, so it might be a little bit of an overcommittal to defending against Stargate if he does that.
Yeah, I don't think that Classic is one to really dive in too much as well. Yeah, I'm not actually surprised to see that. He just throws down the Revelation. Classic is one of those players, you know, you remember once upon a time, Oracles would fly in and they oftentimes get shot down by a Widow Mine?
Yep.
Classic, no, never. Nope. Like, he will either keep them at home or do something like that where he's like, you know what, it's better to have the Oracle than to kill one SCV and lose it.
That is very, very true, Artosis. And we actually have HeRoMaRiNE here going for a Raven very quickly. You know, that's been showing a lot of utility in this matchup. Murray loves to get it as well. A lot of Terrans love to get it as well. Helps you out with detection, helps you out with pushes if you want to go for a 2-base push or something like that. It's very, very nice of an addition. And yeah, like I mentioned, when you get one Viking like this, the Oracles kind of do get shut down unless they split up. And if they split up, they just take too long to kill SCVs. So good moves here from Big Gabe to stay safe against the Stargate opening of gas, the heavy gas opening here of Classic. But of course, he is got a plan B up his sleeve. Forge and Twilight Council Robo Facility going down, all very stock standard stuff from Classic, who at the moment's looking very standard. You know, I kind of expected him to open very aggressively here in this game. So I'm actually really excited to see this. Yeah,
well, you know, it's a good map for this, like you mentioned before. You know, Thunderbird, you can just kind of take that third base almost for free, and he's gotten some good scouting. He sees that HeRoMaRiNE has actually thrown down the third command center before additional barracks, which means there's no attack incoming anytime soon. Really, HeRoMaRiNE is just focusing on getting his economy up and not falling behind Classic at this point.
And Classic going for +1 armor and instantly into charge there for going blink completely. So he's just really wanting a ground army that can fight back against a potential push of HeRoMaRiNE. And I mean, when you're a Terran and you're going for the opening that HeRoMaRiNE does, there is like 9 times out of 10 going to be a +1 attack push with Stim, a few Marauders, Widow Mines as well, and Medevac support. And Charge really shuts that down. I mean, Classic's actually getting a lot of production right now. Well timed out.
Now, he's powering really hard at the moment, even adding in Immortals. So his army's going to be very, very difficult to deal with. But that's the one thing where I feel like I have some confidence in HeRoMaRiNE's play, right? He is going to nail his macro this game and keep a large enough army that I don't feel like this is going to be some sort of, you know, one-sided thing where suddenly Classic's just like, oh, here, we're going to go attack, and then kills him.
Snatches that Observer there. It's the utility of the Raven coming in nicely there for HeRoMaRiNE. And as the power, as you mentioned, the power spike here for Classic starts to round out. He is dropping a Templar Archives and still just relying on these Oracles for his map presence. One's going to go down thanks to that Widow Mines, the gotcha Widow Mine that you put out there as a Terran. It's always nice to see that work out. But Classic still relatively patient here. There's no Prism out there. He's just staying on top of his triangular expansion pattern, just waiting for HeRoMaRiNE to come to him.
Well, HeRoMaRiNE's coming to him now, flying over a ward. Unfortunately for HeRoMaRiNE, that's going to make this drop completely ineffectual. I cannot even imagine this getting anything done. Look at that. He's actually sending some Stalkers out maybe to try to poke those medevacs away before they even get there.
No blink, though, but HeRoMaRinE, of course, doesn't know that, so he's just going to respect the Stalkers here of Classic. Unloading over to the outside. Turret coverage is here, but Classic finds an opening, gets an SCV, and just darts out with the Oracle that did survive. And this Viking's just looking for harassment. It knows that it's not really effective anymore. Just trying to get a few probes, but the Phoenix of Classic looks like he's going to shut it down without finding any damage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, worth a try, I guess. You don't really need it anymore against these Oracles. As of right now, like, looking at the...
Whoops. Oh. I mean, it doesn't super matter, because it's not like Classic can kill these units, but...
No, he's not going to run out and try to catch that, I don't think.
It's a little bit annoying.
But yeah, this game right now looks pretty even overall. Like, nothing bad has happened to Classic. He's really gotten to do everything he's wanted to do. So I think a lot of players would look at that and be like, ah, Terran needs to get something done early. But I feel like HeRoMaRiNE's one of the ones that doesn't necessarily need that, kind of like Maru, right? He has such a good, strong base of play that he's not behind either, right? He hasn't taken damage.
No, I mean, Maru's kind of that new Terran where he's like, no, I don't need to do timing attacks. I'm actually happy to just go to the late game. If you want to sit back, I'll sit back. That's fine.
Yeah.
You know, he was clearly very confident in his series against Stats to just play the late game with that sort of tier 3 army of Ghost, Viking, and Liberator, which is extremely hard to control, by the way. So it's not like every Terran should do that. But HeRoMaRiNE is showing us that he is with the meta, as you would expect, being in the top 16 of the WCS Global Finals and all, getting that Enhanced Shockwave and the Ghost Academy very fast here, a lot faster than you normally would in this matchup.
Yeah, well, that is just so strong at the moment. Those big EMPs are very, very helpful for Terran, so it's great to see him get that right away. Of course, Classic, though, going up into a Overbox support bay. Are we going to have the first real engagement here? Classic just throws down some defensive force fields. That'll buy him a little bit of time.
Prism taking a lot of damage from these turrets. He does unload the Zealots at least, but no reinforcements. So the reinforcements that are coming out of the barracks here should be able to deal with these Zealots. It's annoying for HeRoMaRiNE, but not super consequential. He's going to get a couple SCVs at best.
Yeah, to be honest, I bet you he's pretty happy with that overall. Like, just having the Prism gone.
If he can get the Prism here with that Raven, that means no Storms, but he does get one on the north side there of the bio. Here come those Ghosts. They don't have the EMP upgrade anymore at the moment, but they do land some nice EMPs and a couple of those High Templar and the Sentries.
Pretty solid micro there from HeRoMaRiNE, doing a decent job. Of course, Classic pulls back, throws down all those force fields once again, buying himself some additional time.
HeRoMaRiNE pre-splitting his units there to try and mitigate the Storm. A couple of these Storms have been whiffing for Classic. Does he have more where that came from? It doesn't look like it at the moment. Actually, the Prism does have a couple in there, so potentially, yes. This Ball of Bio does have 1-1 upgrades, but the 1-1 upgrades have just finished up for Classic as well, so equal in that regard. There's that lockdown on the Prism, EMP, and also a kill on that High Templar that remain on the ground. Classic coming on in to try and capitalize on this. He does have the army supply to do it. Oh, and HeRoMaRiNE is standing and fighting. He's reinforcing his position, but it looks very dicey. He loses the Raven.
He does have a lot of Marines here, so he's killing off the Zealots rather quickly, but as the Immortals get to the front, I think he does have to turn around. Yes, HeRoMaRiNE turns around, runs back home, but you know what? I feel like that was an okay engagement for a while there.
Both players lost a lot of army supply. You know, HeRoMaRiNE definitely, I would say, took the worst trades thanks to the Storms and also just the reinforcement charge lots there. But the fact that HeRoMaRiNE does have a fourth base and the fact that he does still have army and he's keeping up with his upgrades does mean that he certainly can handle the mid to late game here, and he's already getting ready for it. The Viking production has begun and Ghost production as well to try and help him out to round out those units, which is certainly going to continue to be useful.
Yeah, this army's pretty scary from Classic. Look at the Immortal count, look at the Colossus count, look at the amount of High Templars even. Of course, we see HeRoMaRiNE microing heavily here, throwing down an EMP, trying to run back, kiting when he can. But overall, that army for Classic is a bit of a death ball.
And 2 robotics facilities making 2 Colossus at a time is really frightening for the Terran, especially when your Viking count is this low. He does have a lot of Marauders, but if Classic reinforces with a ton of charge lots with his Prism, that kind of punishes you for having too many of those. And hold that thought, we have an attack here. Another Whiff Storm, but there's more where that came from. Another Whiff Storm. Where are these storms going? But does it even matter? There is a lot of Protoss here on the front doorstep of HeRoMaRiNE Artosis.
Yeah, those Colossus doing so much work. Some good EMPs go down. He does have the Planetary as well, but Psystorm's blanketing his army here on the high ground. The Immortals leading the charge. These Marauders must run away. They're taking so much damage.
The Immortals are actually not helping out with the Planetary here on the low ground, which is getting some nice damage on the army of Classic, but he's just got so much here in the natural, and HeRoMaRiNE does not have enough to hold on. Classic takes game number 1.
All right, very well played game from Classic. Of course, he did open up with that Stargate, which kind of forced HeRoMaRiNE into a little bit of a defensive stance. He took his third base rather quickly. I feel like they were both playing a strong game, but Classic was able to get everything he wanted.
Yeah, everything just seemed to go to plan at the Classic. You know, maybe, yeah, he lost an Oracle to a Widowmine. He didn't get as many SCVs as you would like. But after that point, he's like, okay, if HeRoMaRinE does this, then I have the exact response. And it looked very, very clean from him for that point.
Yeah, it really was clean. I loved the fact that he had 4 or 5 Immortals in there rather early on, and then added in those Colossi as well, because otherwise the EMPs could have torn him apart. But a beautifully played game. And, you know, I think that that's a map that's pretty strong for Classic. So now we're going to Winter's Gate.
Yeah, we certainly are, which is a map that HeRoMaRinE prefers to play on. It's a little bit easier for Terrans against Protoss. It's a bit short of a rush distance.
Sure.
In a map pool where there are so many long rush distances, is this one where HeRoMaRinE's going to be a little bit happier to play against Protoss on.
Yeah, pretty hard to charge through those Bubulas as well, so
I'm not going to call them that, but yes.
Yes. All right, I think it's time, Maynard.
Yeah.
Shall we get into it?
You know what? We shall.
Okay.
Let's get into game 2, guys. Winter's Gate, HeRoMaRinE versus Classic. Let's see who takes this map advantage. Can HeRoMaRinE tie things up, or will Classic find himself on match point? And the top left here in the red, currently with a map score lead, the Korean Protoss. He is
Makers Classic.
Looked so strong in game 1.
Certainly did. And in the bottom right here in the blue, the German Terran who is truly mastodonic in size. He is
Mouse Esports, HeRoMaRinE.
looks exactly like this studio. It's amazing what a freaking
I know, it's
exactly like this
wild.
studio.
We can do crazy things.
Ever since I saw Lord of the Rings in 2001, I'm like, wow, they made Gandalf look so big and Elijah Wood look so small.
Yeah.
I'm so convinced these are hobbits right now. I'm so convinced that HeRoMaRinE is a real human-sized person at the moment. Good work.
It's very tricky like that. Yeah. Great production here at Freak TV.
The best. We got the Probe Scout here from Classic having a look at what's up. Nice and quick. I like this early game, well actually, you know, I like, in air quotes here, the early game PvT where the opening probe is actually the biggest jerk.
Oh, yeah.
The first probe is always the biggest jerk for the Protoss.
I
All the other
love-
probes, I've got no problem with the other probes.
Yeah?
But the first probe,
Yeah.
that one can die in hell.
No, totally. I love seeing the probe come over and deal 5 damage each SCV. And when you see that, it's like, okay, he's going to be chrono boosting in attempt.
yeah. That's
Every
exactly right.
time, yeah.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite thing with that opening probe. You just,
Yep.
every SCV, you got to look so hard as a Terran to find the right one to build the command center so it doesn't just insta-die.
For all you new players at home, the SCV takes 3 shots to die to an adept rather than the probes and the drones, which only take 2 shots. So you soften those bad boys up, and then the adept one. Just knock them on down nice and fast.
One little hit is all the difference it takes.
Hell yeah. All right, well, pretty easy to wall off the Reaper ledge on this map. Just need a structure and a pylon next to each other, and there's that adept you were talking about, Artosis, the Reaper coming across the map here for HeRoMaRinE. I like that he's SCV scouting just to dot his I's and cross his T's. You know, he's like, okay, I don't want to just die to a proxy gateway build, which does happen on this map a fair bit.
Yeah, and that's actually something Classic's really good at as well. He's shown it a lot in the past, so a smart move to get that SCV scout off. Really, HeRoMaRinE wants to get into the longer games here. Now, the Reaper jumping up into the main base, just some light harassment. Of course, the Adept can force it back. And just keeping that Adept busy so it can't go across the map is a very good thing here for HeRoMaRinE.
Yeah, certainly he's using the Nexus to sort of body block the Adept and its Shade from chasing down that Reaper. So it continues to just exist and have its scouting information there. The Twilight Count's been put down on the front doorstep. And the HeRoMaRinE Reaper confirms that the wall off is there, as it, you know, it is going to be 99 times out of 100. Adept should be able to kill that bad boy, so he's out of there. And once again, HeRoMaRinE stock standard opening, although, actually as I say that, it's a 2 racks opening rather than the 1 racks opening, so...
Yeah, let's see what that's all about.
Getting ahead of myself here, I didn't catch that cheeky little second barracks Artosis.
No, that could be very cool. In the meantime, we did have Classic the second the Reaper walked away from the natural, throw down the Twilight, so he will scout that now. Definitely a very valuable scout right there to see that tech up in the front. But a pretty standard opener overall. The thing is, with the blink opener, unless you're doing like a blink all-in, I feel like this gives HeRoMaRinE a little bit more room to breathe than the Stargate did.
And HeRoMaRinE going for a modified 2-1-1 here. It's a build as old as time, but this it involves Widow Mines. Normally it's a pure Marine stem drop timing, but this doesn't involve the reactor on the starport. It's just a singular medevac, or just getting medevacs one at a time, and then going for a bit more higher of a Marine count, obviously. So you're going to have a lot more Marines. You're going to have stem very fast. Stem research is quicker now since the last couple patches, and this is gets the hallucinated Phoenix. I think the Phoenix might have seen that second barracks. Would have been very, very close.
I think you're right.
He did,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's very important information here for Classic.
Well, let's see what he wants to do with it. He's making a tank now as well. Looks like a Widow Mine drop going to be sent out. Of course, with this third base going up for Classic, do you think HeRoMaRinE has a chance to bust that down?
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of Marines with medevac support and stim are actually pretty amazing, especially if he manages to, you know, find enough, I guess, sort of enough of an opening to bring a tank along as well. If he just finds that he's, you know, brave enough to bring that tank along, I think you can actually do a very, very scary push at the third Nexus.
I'm actually kind of surprised to see that double forge go down for Classic.
Yeah,
he
seems
just
a bit
scouted
greedy.
the quick 2 barracks, so I really could foresee this attack from HeRoMaRinE doing quite a bit.
I mean, Classic did mention in his interview that he's extremely confident in this matchup, so that's just nothing more confident than a Protoss that drops double forge after seeing 2 barracks opening.
Well, I mean, his win rate in TVP or PvT at one point was like 97% or something until Maru knocked him off his pedestal. So it makes sense that he would be feeling good about it, but I feel like he may have been just a little bit greedy this time. I really want to see HeRoMaRinE move out after Stim.
Well, one thing's going to be for sure is that HeRoMaRinE is going to have a big army supply spike to try and capitalize on the stronger economy of Classic. You know, he's got a faster third next. He's going to have more probes as Protosses generally do, but also generally in this matchup, the Terran's going to have the better army, the bigger army, and it's going to usually hit some kind of timing to knock on the front door and see what they can do to even out the economy there for the Protoss versus the Terran, and hopefully have a stronger mid game. But Classic is just ready for any attack, dude. These gateways are all going to finish, and he might even have charge done by the time HeRoMaRinE comes across the map.
If he has charge and 1-1 done, I feel like that's exactly what you need to hold this and smash this and win this, you know,
Like
2-0 at that point. I feel like HeRoMaRinE really does need to move out. It seems like he's being a little bit slow this game. You know, he's flying around with the medevac and a couple mines. Okay, that's cool. You don't necessarily need to dive in. But just the fact that he hasn't moved out against such a quick third Nexus.
Yeah, I mean, do you move out at this point when you see that there's this much Protoss presence, I guess, you know, by that third base? Classic just using Blink to bait out those Widow Mine shots so you can take them out. Lost 1 Stalker there, but at least HeRoMaRinE kept the medevac alive. So he's going to try pushing to the north side here of where the Protoss usually wants to take their third. HeRoMaRinE obviously knows where the third Nexus is, but he's trying to avoid Classic's army.
Yeah, maybe if you get the ramp above the third that's right at the natural wall, something like that could be a very strong move. Also, moving through the center here, you know, those slow zones kind of prevent Classic from jumping upon your army too quickly, but it looks like he's going to come down a ramp here. Definitely a bit surprised about that. Doesn't look like this army can stop what HeRoMaRinE has at the moment.
Not just yet, but with that those extra gateways that we were talking about earlier, he's going to have plenty of warp-in potential here, and Classic is trying to stop HeRoMaRinE from getting those siege tanks anywhere near that cliff of the main base where a lot of his production and tech is. Takes out that tank. Oh, this looks bad already for HeRoMaRinE.
Yeah, Classic is really smashing at the moment, but HeRoMaRinE has quite a bit. These 1-1 charge lots doing a lot of work. Force fields absolutely everywhere. HeRoMaRinE laying down a couple mines, but isn't getting much done with this attack.
No, I mean, he's reinforcing this position, but doesn't quite have enough to break through that charge lot line and get into the, he's trying to get through the crunchy outside into the chewy middle of all those Stalkers and Sentries. Can't quite do it. Those Immortals also helping out against the Marauders as well. And he didn't get that siege up position. If you get that siege tank position right next to the main lip of the Protoss's base, it is so hard to get dug out of.
Absolutely.
Oh, I like this from Classic, using the Prism to come across the map while HeRoMaRiNE's trying to just, have any presence on this map whatsoever.
Yeah, that could do a lot of damage, to be honest, especially if he's out in the front. But look at this, Classic actually moving out with his army right now, has a couple of Mortals joining it. Of course, he does have 2-2 on the way. This is looking pretty darn good for Classic.
Yeah, HeRoMaRiNE's army is mostly out of position here. He's actually got nothing rallied into the main base, so out come the Zealots, and this time he does not lose the Warp Prism, so there will be reinforcement Zealots here to make things really difficult here for the German Terran.
Yeah, this is looking really rough at the moment. Brings in a couple mines to burrow, so that'll help him clean it up a little bit, dealing a lot of damage to those Zealots, but he is losing so many SCVs.
Devastating damage to the economy here of HeRoMaRiNE. And Classic's army is just waiting for their chance to strike as well. He keeps warping in, and the Prism is still here. He's even bringing in Sentry to force field the ramp. Very annoying stuff here from Classic.
Yeah, the force field goes down. Looks like Classic wants to fight this right now. Of course, his main army is just outside this area as well. Maybe it'll look to poke in. Also, I don't think he can do too much against that, though.
Not so much. There is quite a few more orders here. The Widowmines, of course, making it less attractive of an option for Classic. But does he care, Artosis? 2-2 is nearly done. And HeRoMaRiNE's upgrades are very far behind here. He's just been worried so much about just holding on.
Yeah.
And that just means that Classic's like, well, I'm super safe on my side of the map, so I'm going to continue my build order.
No,
Colossus on the way.
Yeah, Classic is kind of nailing everything, and I feel like HeRoMaRiNE is just a bit off, right? Like, he opened up with kind of a cool opener with the second quicker barracks. He scouted a quick third Nexus as well as the Blink upgrade, but he didn't move out. He's just kind of sat back for a long time. He allowed all the upgrades to finish. I feel like he's kind of been hitting anti-timing attacks, and then he wasn't in position for that Warp Prism that flew in. It's looking like a very rough game number 2 for him right now.
Yeah, it's hard to find advantages here. Looks like another Prism in the main base as well from Classic. This time there is a Viking, so he shoos away that Warp Prism. This one not anywhere near as effectual as the first one. And HeRoMaRiNE, I mean, he does have an army, but with those Colossus out, with very few anti-Colossus countermeasures and very few anti-charge lock countermeasures, he doesn't have a ton of Widowmines either, or 2-2 upgrades. It just feels like it's so hard for him to get a favorable engagement.
Yeah, he's trying to go after this 4th base as it is warping in, but a huge army from Classic coming up to meet him. Absolutely no way that he can engage that.
That army is ridiculous. Even using a Hallucinated Phoenix there to get that Widowmine shot for just costing energy. Nice plays there from Classic, and HeRoMaRiNE's just trying to look for any angle here. And I'm looking at this minimap. I don't see an angle here for HeRoMaRiNE. Like, I'm trying to think of what he can do here.
Classic is boxing him into his base. You see the way he's moving his army around? He's just kind of catching every move out and forcing him back. Otherwise, he's going to take too much damage. So that is exactly the spot you want him in here as Classic.
We have the Ghost production only halfway done. That first 3 Ghosts. Enhanced Shockwave a long way away, but do the EMPs even make a difference here? There's only Sentry energy to take away. I guess you can take some energy away from these Archons, these Zealots for sure, to make things a little bit more doable, but it seems so hard. Lives the 3rd to give him a bit more surface area for this concave. Definitely does help you out as Terran, and he is cutting through a lot of those Zealots quite fast, but those SCVs falling even faster. Artosis, there's an EMP, but it does not matter. Classic with a very convincing series so far.
Yeah, I mean, Classic is looking great as expected. HeRoMaRiNE, on the other hand, having a hard time capitalizing upon anything Classic does.
Damn, man. Feels like HeRoMaRiNE's plan is as clear as day, and Classic has done his homework. Just bats him back at every single turn of the game.
Yeah, and the thing is, I like HeRoMaRiNE's openings. I feel like he is missing some windows, though, right? Some possible opportunities. You and I both felt like there might be some sort of timing there to put pressure on the 3rd Nexus, but he waited a very long time, 1-1 and charge finish, and that's Classic being greedy as can be, right?
Well, we'll see what I mean, he still has 1 life in the bank, so HeRoMaRiNE does still have a chance in this series, but he's got 1 life left for the opening decided match, and then, of course, we'll be waiting for an opponent in the losers match, and neither of those 2 opponents are going to be easy. Classic on the cusp of a clean sweep here, Artosis. HeRoMaRiNE still looking for the point on the board.
All right, let's see if he can do it. Next map going to be Disco Bloodbath. HeRoMaRiNE on the brink of destruction.
The far right spawn here of Disco Bloodbath, the red Korean Protoss with a dominating series so far. He is
Makers Classic.
Just rock solid today so far.
Yeah. And on the far left, men have been asking since the dawn of time, does size truly matter? To answer that question, he is
Mouse Esports, HeRoMaRiNE.
Trying to make this series interesting by going down 0-2 to start.
I like that. Getting the fans all hyped.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, look, it's like every season of Dragon Ball Z or any anime with a protagonist that's, you know, always cut out of the same cloth.
Yeah.
It's a teenager that's super strong for some reason. Does nothing but eat. Always seems to lose. And then after 20 episodes of powering up, lo and behold, Artosis, they save the world again.
Those are the best shows.
They are indeed.
I know that for a fact.
WCS Global Finals, unfortunately, sometimes doesn't go that way.
Yeah.
Big crowd here today for Saturday.
Protoss.
Does he though?
Yes.
Oh, in
Do you not?
In Brood War, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, StarCraft 2 as well. You kidding me? How many can rushes I die to in PvP? It's madness.
All right, so Winter's, rather Disco Bloodbath's another one of those maps that I feel like, as a Terran, it's not too bad as well. Like,
Sure,
it's
yeah.
Not a horrible map for you as a Terran against Protoss.
Yeah, I enjoy watching TVPs here, to be honest. It's, you know, you've got enough wide open areas where you can make some interesting things happen.
Yep, it's some nice angles to do things like Liberator, Harass, Medevac drops, obviously. Of course, conversely, that means Warp Prisms are pretty decent on this map. I mean, Warp Prisms pretty decent on every map, but...
Yeah. And depending on where they take their third, sometimes you have that ability to pressure and then drop the main, things like that very quickly.
It's not... I feel like it's not super common to get a third on the low ground, though, for Protosses. Like, it just feels like it's... you'd want to take it sort of on the high ground there. But then there's, like, rocks where the tanks can hide behind and that sort of thing, if there's any kind of push like that. But another Stargate opening here from Classic, by the way. Similar to game number 1 on Thunderbird.
Seems reasonable. Definitely had a good time with it the first time, and he saw how HeRoMaRinE reacted. Did you like how HeRoMaRinE reacted, where he just kind of turtled up, took a third command center, and went for a macro game? Yeah,
I didn't hate it. It's just, unfortunately, the last couple of games, it's been looking really horrible for HeRoMaRinE, but it's just kind of, it's just unfortunate how they've rolled out, where HeRoMaRinE's kind of, he's doing fine, but then one thing goes wrong and it snowballs.
Yeah.
Like on Winter's Gate, he moved out on the map, got caught. You know, he didn't want to get caught by Classic, but he got that siege tank position. It could be a very decent game. It could even be still casting game 2 at this point.
Yeah.
But, and game 1 similar, you know, goes out for an attack that starts off looking great, and then all of a sudden he just slightly tips over, doesn't quite have enough, and then Classic starts to snowball with that gateway production and Colossus production.
Yeah, you really have to kind of shut the door on Classic. If he gets his foot in there, I mean, he's never, ever leaving you
He's
alone.
going to break into your house, raid your fridge, steal your Netflix account, and take your PlayStation
You
back
get
on.
recommended all the wrong shows.
Yeah, you
it's
can
just
have all
not
the
what you
Classic
want.
shows on your Netflix account.
Yeah. All right, so he is making Phoenixes right now. Viking on the way. That defensive bunker as well as the mine coming out.
So just more and more Phoenixes here. Stats did something very similar against Maru in their series. And I like this a lot. You know, Phoenix opener can be really, really great. Maru, from memory, had a proxy starport with a Hellion ferry is like his strategy against against stats on this map. But you know, nothing like that from HeRoMaRinE. So these Phoenixes do need to find damage. They're not the cheapest thing in the whole world, but of course, when they start to marry up with Colossi, that's when they get really frightening.
Well, the builds that like, Phoenixes can be a fantastic opening. I love Phoenix into Robo. But, you know, if you go like Phoenix into Charge, let's say, like we saw Showtime do against Special, even though he won that game, I'm like, you have some weak points for sure that can be abused. Whereas in a game like this, if he does go straight up to Colossus, I feel like if he's very strong on defense, you can probably hold on against HeRoMaRinE. But HeRoMaRinE doing his pretty standard play here. He's making that Raven, getting
standard.
Stim, 3 Raxes, and of course he'll be taking his third command center as he's moving out.
Barracks doesn't quite have enough room for that extra tech lab. Definitely wants that combat shield. And yeah, this Raven opening, very, very, very standard here from HeRoMaRinE. He gets to do 4 gases worth of income there on those 2 bases. And you can see that he's just sort of waiting for the Stargate units to come to him. Knows that going out on the map is basically suicide at this point, these Phoenixes flying around.
Yeah, and look at this. These are coming over right now. If they catch the Raven, that is a terrible, terrible thing for you as a Terran player.
Yeah,
You've got to hide that Raven.
He's doing exactly that, Artosis.
Yeah.
One Viking is not quite enough. Oh, that's an interesting drag there from those Phoenixes.
Yeah, that was really smart from Classic, I think.
Yeah, now he's got a bunch of one-shot SCVs here. He is losing Phoenixes, though.
Yeah, no, he's lost 2 of them now.
That's terrible, actually, for Classic. Like, it looked really good to start off with, but that's actually horrifying.
I mean, I'll give 1 to get in there and harass, but losing 2 and then you have another one that has, like, 1 hit point left?
Yeah.
He didn't even really look for the Raven that time either.
He got his 4 SCVs, but I mean, if HeRoMaRinE didn't lose that Viking, I feel like that would have been disastrous for Classic to start off with as far as trades go. But
well, I think that this is a pretty good position right now for HeRoMaRinE, right? Like,
it's not
his
bad.
army is getting bigger and stronger right now. It's a very teched out army here from Classic, but already taking that much damage on the Phoenixes makes me a little bit worried for him. And, you know, this Marauder heavy production from HeRoMaRinE, That's the type of army that can actually take down a small amount of Colossus.
Yeah, I mean, obviously at the moment there's only one robotics facility making making Colossus. We're pretty much expecting a second one shortly for Classic when he starts to get a bit more saturation and a bit more of that economy happening. Because double Robo Colossus production is just what he's been showing time and time again here. A lot of Protosses love it against Terran as well. And it is about that time for HeRoMaRinE to use that army advantage with +1 attack, with combat shield, stim, medevac support to knock on this third base to see what he can get done.
Oh man, he absolutely has the potential to get in here and do that damage. Now he's going towards the third base that you mentioned before is a little bit more common in PvT. He's going to get in here, realize, okay, there's nothing there at the moment. So he should know where that third is. Looks like he's going to come over here down the ramp. But with all these force fields, you got to be very careful.
And Classic does not want that Raven to come anywhere near his Colossi. If he gets that Colossi locked down, his Gateway army is actually going to look a little bit squishy against this Bio-Mine force of HeRoMaRinE.
And he's not really out there forcing it back. He's going to have to really utilize his force fields very well. Oh, beautiful disables right there and gets around these force fields. More force fields going down, trying to buy Classic time.
He still has another lockdown there on that Raven. One more interference matrix. I don't think he has enough at both of those Colossi at the moment. HeRoMaRinE being a little indecisive. There's that one interference matrix, but it doesn't feel like he's confident enough to capitalize on it.
Yeah. Oh, man, I feel like there was a window here once again, and he did not quite hit it. There were some great interference matrices, of course, utilizing those force fields to buy yourself time. Beautiful move from Classic. But, you know, it's kind of funny. Classic took that third base. If he took the other one, I feel like HeRoMaRinE would have come early enough with first checking that location that he might have been able to bust him.
Yeah, this series has just been a lot of a series of unfortunate events for HeRoMaRinE so far. I mean, the game is pretty far from over. Of course, there is a round 2 here for HeRoMaRinE. He's starting his Viking production very quickly as well. Looks like he's actually foregoing the quicker ghosts, which a lot of Terrans like to do in this matchup at the moment, because he's going to try and adjust to what Classic's doing rather than just going with his game plan in TVP. Like he's just been playing regular TVP basically, like if this was any Protoss.
Yeah, well, this makes sense right now to be adding in some of these Vikings. If he can get enough to really knock down the Phoenix and Colossi, that's going to really be nice for him in the next engagement. Of course, you can't wait on the Ghost for too long. I mean, just the amount of damage EMP does to the entire army is non-trivial.
Classic is getting his High Templar out, is getting his Archons out. I don't believe, no Storm yet from Classic. He hasn't even started it. So just using them for Archons for a nice big meat shield there. The Protoss army about to stand and fight against the Bio. 4 Vikings at once from 2 starports. HeRoMaRinE is terrified of these Colossi.
Yeah. I love the fact, though, that we're seeing the Archons made, right? If you don't have EMP, those Archons are so scary. The Marauders are not going to slow them down or anything.
They are heckin' chonkers, Artosis. They will stand and fight all day long. There's that Ghost Academy that we're wanting. And HeRoMaRinE moving out with part of his force here to try and maybe potentially get a cancel on that 4th base. His Widow Mine did show where it is. And now Classic knows all about it, of course. He's got his spotter balance. Classic actually has a lot of map control at the moment. There's spotting things for Protoss everywhere on the minimap.
Yeah, he does have a lot of vision. Going to be hard to get any damage done to him in a sneaky way, and going to be hard to get damage done to him in a straight-up way. He's really going to need to utilize those Vikings and a huge spread to take out this army.
Load up and get on out of there, friend. That is a lot of Protoss right there. Widow Mine going to soften up a few things here, but HeRoMaRinE knows that he's going to have to hold on. There is a very, very big attack coming from Classic, and he's not going to go home.
You know, I don't know if you're supposed to attack here as Classic. There's a lot of depots kind of in the way.
Lots of Vikings as well.
Yeah, the Vikings kind of coming over here right now. They actually target down a Phoenix first. He disables one of the Colossi, lifts up his command center, and gets those SCVs out of there.
And he is losing a few SCVs here, but if HeRoMaRinE can stop losing workers and actually fight back, there is a game in here for him yet.
Okay, he comes in once again. He does have those Vikings. They take down what I think was a hallucination right there.
Yeah, it was a hallucinated one, unfortunately, there. And the Prism's also zoning back away from the Vikings. The Colossi are starting to go down, but it looks like they thinned out a lot of this Bio. I think HeRoMaRinE should be able to hold here.
Yeah, not only hold, I think he'll eliminate this army, but he did lose a lot of SCVs and a big chunk of his army killing this off.
And that was the main problem there for HeRoMaRinE, is that, like I said, he had to not lose more workers. We even had a Zealot annoying this 4th base here of him, which is an orbital, strangely enough, so that's the main.
Oh yeah, he just floated that over. Okay, I'm totally down with that right now. And he still has 45 workers, so his economy is like okay, but obviously not where he wants it at. Now he's eliminated the splash damage of
no
Classic.
Storm. It's just started, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. So it's like you have all these Vikings, you know he's not going to make Colossi. Classic has to hold this with just gateway units until Psystorm's done.
Certainly does. The clock is ticking here. If HeRoMaRinE can use this window to his advantage, there's definitely an ability to win this game. That is a lot of bio, Artosis. He waited for the time to stim, and here he goes. Shield batteries juicing up that Hack and Chakra Archon there on the far right. But it is going to go down to the stim bio, which is too much DPS. Classic reinforcement with these gateway units, but looks like a lot of these gateways are still on cooldown. HeRoMaRinE is in that third Nexus, Artosis. Can he actually do this?
Beautiful play right there. Those landed Vikings dealing so much damage to these units. He's going to take down this Nexus in a matter of seconds. Now, do you try to force it up the ramp, or do you go after that fourth?
I think so. I think you got to take a big risk here. He looks like he's going to go for that fourth and just use that probe kills. There's no High Templar, I don't think. So even if Storm does finish, there's nothing with energy to actually storm anything. HeRoMaRinE, I think he's going to get a map here.
Oh, looks absolutely beautiful. Picks off that Immortal as well, and that might be the killing blow. Another Immortal pops out. He's trying to warp in whatever he can, but HeRoMaRinE has a gigantic army here that will not be taken out easily.
Yeah, this ball of Terran Bio, yes, it doesn't have any more medevac energy, but it's already done its dash. It is right here, cutting everything that Classic's warping in to defend, and Classic is going to have to tap out of this one, Artosis. There is way too much Terran on the dance floor. GG! Big Gabe fights back.
Yes, really nicely done game there from HeRoMaRinE. You know, I think he got a little bit unlucky with which third base he checked out with his initial push. It felt like he had a good timing against what Classic had, but then he pulled back, he played a patient game, and Classic, that attack he did at HeRoMaRinE's third base, I do not think that was a good idea.
You even said, Artosis, and I'm going to directly quote from my memory banks, I don't know if you attack here as Classic.
Yeah, well, he had the beautiful spread of bio, he had the Vikings. There were like well-placed depots to funnel Zealots so they can't even get good connections. It was a great base setup, a great defensive arc from HeRoMaRinE, but Classic thought he could kill him.
Yeah, well, I mean, he did so much damage, but just did not expect that counterattack, or at least thought that he did a lot more damage to the army supply of HeRoMaRinE. I mean, that happens a lot in this matchup. The Terran can find himself with a lot of armies still left over after the battle, especially if, you know, you lift up your base and you pull back and you're patient like HeRoMaRinE was. And he had made so many Vikings. And Vikings are surprisingly effective as a ground unit as well. When they're just chumped into your bio, they have a fair bit of hit points on the ground. They're large, and then when the bio's at the back line, the Vikings are just more than happy to just, deal with a handful of Stalkers or a handful of gateway units.
All right, well, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, game number 4.
G'day, StarCraft fans. Welcome back. The short break is over and the games are about to resume. Game 4 between Classic and HeRoMaRinE about to go down on Acropolis. Artie McTosis, your thoughts so far?
My thoughts so far, I feel like HeRoMaRinE missed a couple little timings that he may have had to do some damage in the first games. I felt like he was playing a little bit too defensive. I think that last game he played very strongly. The attack was weird from Classic, but I think that made the game more fair because like Classic took the weirder third in a way, and HeRoMaRinE checked the wrong third, right? So I'm looking at this. Still a good match. I think HeRoMaRinE still has gas in the tank. He can still put on some good games here.
Well, the game is ready, guys. Let's load into Game 4 between Classic and HeRoMaRinE. The top left here, don't forget he is still on match point. The Korean Protoss, he is
Makers Classic.
It's been really solid except for that one attack so far.
Except for that one time. And the bottom right here, the blue Terran. Is it Godzilla? Is it a skyscraper? No! It's
Mouse Esports, HeRoMaRinE.
Of course, the rest of us had to fly to Korea. HeRoMaRinE, just a couple short strides. He went all the way from Germany over to Korea.
Well,
if you're that big, is jet lag ever effective?
no, because it's all times wherever you are.
So you're going in a different time zone every few steps.
When Gabe sleeps, it is day. When he wakes, it is night.
True that. Wow, so deep. So just getting a good scout here is Classic. HeRoMaRinE making sure he doesn't take any SCV damage. There's a little bit of work and micro there at the start of this game. Now this is one of those maps where I feel like you just stop Reaper expanding.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I
Does the Reaper ever do anything on this map?
you can jump it.
That is true. Mario did do the cute, I call it the Beyond Grenade.
Yes, yes. It's definitely a Beyond Grenade. He did the rocket jump, all right?
Yeah, the rocket jump.
It's which is so cool. I'm so glad that is actually a thing that can occur in StarCraft 2. I love it. Being an old Quake 3 fan, it just warms my heart.
I'm definitely a Quake guy. I was about to say I miss Quake.
I do too.
Yeah. There is a new one, but this one's good.
Yeah. Well, here we are. He does have that Reaper. Let's see if he jumps it, because you want to scout what they're doing, see do they have the Nexus, is he going Stargate? It's generally Stargate in this type of situation. You know, one thing that happens a lot is that there's a probe out on the map when they do this, so that they can take their reasonably timed third without killing the pylon at that exact second, because you don't have that much damage output with your army. So I almost feel like on this map, with the Reaper, you should really look at weird hiding spots to find the probe. See?
I'm 100% with you, Artosis.
Yeah.
This is the one thing that you should be doing with your Reaper expand, because you're not going to, I mean, more often than not, going to be able to get into the natural or into the main base against the Protoss. It's so easy to wall off that Reaper ledge of the main, and the natural is only a couple structures away from being walled off completely. Adept goes straight past that bunker, looking to try and slow down that natural. That's an overextension there from Classic, unless he kills a few units here, but doesn't seem likely.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Oh, he gets it in the end, but losing an Adept for a Marine is still pretty good for HeRoMaRinE.
Yeah, no, I can't even. I was like, well, that Marine is going to die. And then, you know, the stupid little discus that the Adept throws does not even reach. It's amazing.
It's
great
a glaive,
micro there.
It's a glaive, apparently, but I don't know. I don't know what that means. What is even a glaive?
It's a light discus, I'm pretty sure. Right?
A Tron discus.
Yes, that's it. It does look like that.
So the Adept getting another Marine kill there, just being annoying, trying to pull the mule off, and picking off the mule would be really, really fantastic. Oh, no!
What?
Maru, he is not.
No.
I think you got to go between the pylon there.
He should play more like Maru.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with a lot of these Terrans, Artosis.
I know.
You know, we've been telling him for a long time.
Time.
For like a year, we're saying just play like TY.
Yeah.
Year after that, 2018, after 3 GSLs in a row, we're like, you know what, you should probably play like Maru.
Yeah.
But no one does it.
You can still play like TY. You know, that works too.
I mean, he still gets top 4s and top 8s. TY. You know, GSL hired him as a commentator, and he's actually... The fact that Classic is here means that TY actually gets to commentate this event. Otherwise, he probably would top 4 this one as well.
Yeah, that's actually very, very true. Reaper is coming back right now. A couple Phoenixes out on the map. He actually scanned the area for the Reaper so that his probe could come to make this. But this is the thing that we were talking about where...
Oopsie daisies.
What?
And its boost is gone. That's a real feels bad man moment right there for HeRoMaRinE. No saving that medevac, unfortunately.
That is... You feel so good as Classic right now. You just put down your third Nexus, then you catch that medevac. You might even think there was stuff in it. You're like, whoa, if there's 2 mines in that, oh my God, what a catch.
Just rubbing your belly and having a nice big laugh. Always feels nice. Well, HeRoMaRiNE's lost that presence. He's not going to be able to do any drop play or have that extra medevac for healing up his units when he goes for that stim timing. He still goes for that stim timing. Classic really actually finding some nice damage here with these Phoenixes. Ooh, slows down the turret, gets 5 SCVs. Damn, that's nice for Classic.
That is painful. That is very, very painful. Hopefully he can get that turret up. Now, I wouldn't mind if HeRoMaRiNE just kind of goes for it this game. You know, hits a critical mass where the Phoenixes aren't quite as strong and then just really pushes towards that third. Because what we see Classic doing here, this is like, again, so greedy. He takes the third Nexus, he's using all of his Phoenix energy on harassment, which I think is a good part of this, but he's adding 2 Forges and a Twilight behind. Okay, so he's just saying, okay, if I don't die, by the time the upgrades finish on these, I'm going to be in a gigantic lead.
Yeah, you're not wrong, and neither is Classic in that regard. Getting the tank here is a dream scenario for these Phoenixes, but it's a little unlikely.
Yeah.
You can see these his wheels were spinning there. He's like, can I get this?
Yeah, and then he sees the 5 and he's like, no, I can't get it.
Probably not, maybe not. But, you know, he's respecting HeRoMaRiNE here. He's like, he's not some chump ladder terror. This guy is actually quite good, so... HeRoMaRiNE is gearing up for that move out through the middle of the map here, and I don't mind it. It is important to hit the Protoss with this army supply advantage before they have these extra gateways, before charge, before those upgrades are done. This is a window where the Terran is actually very frightening.
This is similar to what I was really hoping we could see on Winter's Gate against some of the
medevacs again.
No!
Oh,
he actually baited him over there. I didn't even see that. Amazing play, though.
Behind the factory there. So that means the Weather Mines, rather the medevacs are surviving for now. Oh, they're tucked away in the back right of the natural. But so HeRoMaRiNE doesn't have medevac support with this army, which does actually hurt a lot, Artosis. He really wants those medevacs here.
I think his next reinforcement, maybe he can get him there. But that is going to help Classic a lot on this defense. He does have those sentries, so he can slow this push down quite a bit. HeRoMaRiNE taking his time. Look at this. He's coming up with these reinforcements. If he... Oh, no. Oh, he really needs those medevacs up here.
He certainly does. To save that tank on the front line. He's actually trading pretty well with the gateway units. Does lose that tank, which certainly stings. But the medevacs are here. He still has a lot of bio left over, and he does have Widow Mines as well.
He needs to push quickly now. Classic's done a great job of slowing him down so far. This game sieges up that tank. Starts to deal some damage here. The double shield battery is really helping out, but... looks like HeRoMaRiNE is going to start taking those down.
Charge is about to finish, as are the 1-1 upgrades of Classic. He pulls back to the Widow Mine field. Going to let the Widow Mines hit those charge slots. Does he actually have enough fire to fight back? The tank's still putting in a last bit of damage, so Classic lifts it up out of the battle. But HeRoMaRiNE still with a lot of bio left over, Artosis, and he's rallying reinforcements here.
Oh, this is looking amazing right now for HeRoMaRiNE. He continues to stim board. He clears that first army. Another group of Zealots come out of a warp in. And they're trying their best, but HeRoMaRiNE is breaking through.
He certainly is, and once again, Classic trying to defend, but not with many war pins available. Those charge slots have come on in, but it's just 3 of them with 1 Stalker and 1 Phoenix. That is not an army, Artosis. This is getting a little bit more like it. That third Nexus, though, under huge threat.
Oh my God, HeRoMaRiNE has to show some great micro here, though. That is a lot of Zealots. They have 1-1, they have charge. He still has quite a few medevacs and more units rallying up, but is it enough to whittle this down?
Oh man, those charge loss were so clutch here for Classic. They do push back HeRoMaRiNE. He does finally get rid of that tank. The Widow Mines have also been picked up and eliminated by these Phoenixes, which has been really nice for Classic as well. HeRoMaRiNE goes towards that third base, but it doesn't look like he's going to slow down, and I don't think he should. He still has a lot of army, and there's no splash damage here still. You can still try and trade well against an army like this, although that charge lot count is getting scary, and he does have 1-1.
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit tough right now, and he doesn't have concussive shells. I really wish he did. Look at this, even an Archon coming in. I feel like we are getting to the point where you're not going to break this, you're just going to lose a bunch of units.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you now. So 2-2 starts here for the Protoss. We see that HeRoMaRiNE's going for the armory. His 2-2 is going to be very, very delayed.
Okay, he's going to use these 2 mines. This gives him a bit more of a chance. If he gets some good splash damage on the Zealots as they come in, I mean, I can see that doing something, but looks like he's setting up right now. Classic is setting up for a gigantic flank. HeRoMaRiNE going to back up a little bit more. He does have that watchtower, so he can kind of see everything coming.
Yeah, he's just making Classic warp in more and more units, which is definitely, you know, something that, unless there's a fight, it's going to be really good for Classic. But if HeRoMaRinE just forces out these units and goes home, then, you know, he can start to catch up a little bit in economy. And speaking of which, he's not very far behind in economy at all. His third base is flying out, and he has quite a few SCVs.
Yeah, his SCV count is actually really nice, especially considering how much damage the Phoenixes did early on to it. But you know what? This is good. I feel like HeRoMaRinE did enough that this is still a game. He got slowed down so much on that push, too. You know, I'm feeling a lot of these games, I'm seeing HeRoMaRinE so close to rolling people over. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so
like,
close.
Yeah, if those Phoenixes hadn't slowed him so much, slowed the medevacs down so much, I think he might have won this game already.
You're not wrong, and he may still. I mean, we're looking at the army composition here of Classic. HeRoMaRiNE's been showing us, you know, Bio, Ghosts, Widowmines, that sort of thing. The army of Classic doesn't have Colossi this time, Artosis.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a robotics bay yet. So while there is robotics facilities for sure, we're seeing a Prism on the way. There is just not that much splash damage here apart from Storm. And when we start to see those ghosts pop out with enhanced shockwaves, Terran can win some very one-sided engagements with that kind of composition.
Yeah, really can. This army getting quite large indeed. HeRoMaRiNE up in army supply. Very mobile army here as well. He can kite against these Zealots hugely. Look at how many mines are in here as well.
He's really expecting a lot of charge lots here, and I don't blame him for it. The charge lots are basically the lifeline here of Classic. And the charge lots go down, his army is so squishy. The Bio really rips and tears through it.
Yeah. Oh, man. Like, this is a very close game right now. I could absolutely see it going either way.
Oh, he doesn't have Storm energy. He tried to drop High Templar for Storms, but he doesn't actually have the energy on those High Templar just yet.
Wow, that is an uncharacteristic mistake from Classic. He does come up and throw down a few Storms.
Got a feedback on a Ghost as well. Very nice play there from Classic.
The Liberator coming up and getting itself set up. He still has more and more mines, more Ghosts coming up here as well.
The Liberator pulls out of harm's way here. Classic had to warp in a few Stalkers. He's really respecting the Liberator here of HeRoMaRiNE. Now, if the Stalker count is like this, HeRoMaRiNE can take a very nice fight. He gets a very nice EMP on those charge slots. Widowmines actually kill a lot there, and a High Templar and a lot of charge slots went down as well. That Storm does damage quite a bit of Bio. HeRoMaRiNE's army still looking very threatening, though. 95 army supply against the 70 here of the Protoss, and a good chunk of it is still very EMP'd.
Absolutely. That was actually quite a good engagement. Those mines did a huge amount of damage in the middle of Classic's army. Now, Classic walking up, taking a couple more Widowmine hits. HeRoMaRiNE coming up to meet that army as well.
Now, we were talking about splash damage being a little bit of a problem here for Classic, even though he has Storm. There are EMPs with Terran. Now, the Disruptors, though, that is going to be very scary here for HeRoMaRiNE. He is still making Liberators, which are definitely what you want against Disruptors, a good number of Liberators, but 2 Disruptors at once is very, very hard to deal with.
That's actually surprising. We just saw the Phoenixes in the top right of the map. Those could be useful here. A little bit hard against such a big Bio army, but I feel like Classic should be using absolutely everything at his disposal.
Well, those Disruptors have arrived. First Nova's going to come out and not really hit anything. The second one going for anything here. He gets a Marauder to Marine. That's just about it. The Ghost is still alive. EMP's on the High Templar. There is still one available on the far left with Storms available. HeRoMaRiNE's Bio stimming on in to engage this front line of charge lots and these Stalkers as well. The Disruptors still on cooldown. A nice zoning Storm there from Classic. Looks like he tried to go for some harassment, but the bunker here from HeRoMaRiNE holds on to that third base.
Now, can he get rid of the fourth while he's keeping this pressure on? It looks like Classic once again moving forward, takes down that Liberator. A great Disruptor hit as well. The army of HeRoMaRiNE, it's still got a lot of damage output, but it is very low health-wise.
It is indeed. He might want to pull back after killing this fourth Nexus and consolidate his forces again. But this scuffle, while it is looking very, very messy, he is trading nicely here against the Protoss.
Yeah, and he kills that fourth Nexus. A huge moment for HeRoMaRiNE, but I definitely agree with you. I feel like he needs to pull back and get his army together, heal everything up. It feels like his army is just about to all fall apart.
Certainly, and this Prism trying to really dive deep here and just warp in charge lots right in front of those SCVs. A drop from HeRoMaRiNE going on top of those forges. It looks like the upgrades, at least one of these upgrades is going to finish. He's going for the pylon here to depower them.
Oh my god.
Oh, we got the upgrades delayed a little bit here. If he can get these forges, this is so huge. EMPing the forges to get that extra damage on the health bar. Will he get these forges? Yes, he will. 3-3 denied. Huge play from HeRoMaRiNE.
And he even gets out with 2 medevacs and a bunch of units within them. A beautiful clutch play from HeRoMaRiNE, killing the third base and denying 3-3 upgrades.
Oh,
wow,
man.
Huge plays.
I'm actually feeling those chills you're talking about, Artosis, all over my body. That play from HeRoMaRiNE was so beautiful. While there is a fourth location taken here for HeRoMaRiNE, that is the main base. So both players on equal amount of command facilities. The Nexus there for the Protoss. Oh, I like these pickoffs there on those Ghosts, getting them Marauders as well. Nice little pickoffs with those Phoenixes, which are back in the battle just like you wanted. And the disruptor count is climbing. Now, HeRoMaRiNE's upgrades were very far behind. Obviously, he's going to be able to catch up here as the Forges haven't been retaken for Classic by the looks of things. So he's going to be able to take an upgrade lead, but it's going to be quite a while before that happens. And the disruptor count is getting very scary.
Yeah, the disruptors really are what matters in this game right now. If he can dodge disruptor hits, if he can pick some of those off, that is the key to victory here for HeRoMaRiNE. But if Classic starts connecting those, the supply disadvantage will turn into an advantage very, very quickly.
And you are not wrong. Looks like you're going to try to go for the drop play again, but just being very careful here. Classic moving to intercept. That's going to leave the south side of the infrastructure of the Protoss open here. You can see HeRoMaRiNE's units moving down to intercept. Once again, though, Classic very, very good about taking map control, having spotter units around everywhere to see the Terran's movements. It's very, very hard to attack Classic without him knowing about it.
The Phoenix is checking out where he's at right now. Looks like Classic going to go ahead and, oh my gosh, a warp in here in the main base. The EMP goes down, some units coming back. So it seems like he should be able to clean this up without too much damage.
Yeah, I mean, if the Prism doesn't get out of there, it's also going to die, as it has got EMP'd, and that thing is kind of made of paper. It hasn't got many hit points at all. Looks like Classic does still have units in the main base. Got a bit of energy on one of those High Templar as well. Go for a nice storm here.
Oh, a little bit surprised he's going to drop in here after scanning and seeing that many units. Looks like he will have to pick up, losing quite a few units there, not really getting anything done, to be honest.
Yeah, not a whole lot done there for HeRoMaRiNE. Not the greatest move, but does still have the bulk of his forces alive. And they are moving to intercept. Now, there is Colossus production here from Classic. And Colossi are actually a unit that's going to be tough for HeRoMaRiNE to deal with. Oh, we can get disruptors for the Novas connect. One of the Novas do connect, and a reinforcement of Classic from the south. The Blink Stalkers even picking up these medevacs. A nice engagement for the Protoss.
Well, I tell you what, though, he did pick off a lot of disruptors, so I'm not throwing that as a complete loss for HeRoMaRiNE. He's going to be happy to reduce that count at least. Right now, the production of HeRoMaRiNE out of control is 3-3, going to finish soon as well.
Yeah, those upgrades, it's going to take a while for him to get there, but he is just about there, Artosis. Does he respect these Colossi by going into Starport production? No, he just keeps making medevacs here, keeps just relying on the Marauder count more than anything and those upgrades to actually just go toe-to-toe with these Colossi. And, I mean, we're seeing a Liberator here and there, but that's not really like a slam dunk against an army like this against Classic.
I am really excited to see this next engagement, though. Like you said, he's making a lot of Marauders. He's got a huge bio force here. He's going to have a gigantic spread. But in the meantime, he's doing a counterattack. Only a couple High Templars here. They get picked off before they can get anything done.
Really nice move there from HeRoMaRiNE, but I'm very worried about this attack for her to be able to defend. That's so much splash damage. Nice EMPs on the High Templar, but there is still juice left over. They can still bring some bad weather here for the boys, but the EMPs do soften him up enough for him to collapse here with those 3-3 bio units. Another one here, but also more High Templar with more energy.
Oh, okay. Well, in the meantime, he has killed a Nexus. The rest of his attack force going after that third base. Classic hiding a Nexus down at the bottom. Not sure if that's going to come into play.
HeRoMaRiNE's bio actually gets a Colossus before he pulls back there. After killing that Nexus at the fourth base location, HeRoMaRiNE still going toe-to-toe with Classic, even with the more superior economy at the moment.
Man, I tell you what, he was just getting warmed up in those first games. HeRoMaRiNE putting out an absolutely brilliant game at the moment. He is macroing like a beast. He's been ahead in supply for so long, counterattacking all over the place and stopping Classic every time he attacks. Here we go, though. Classic coming in once again.
And HeRoMaRiNE has been making Vikings in the back of this, so we can actually engage those Colossi a little bit more convincingly. The Archons there, putting some damage on the production, on the orbital, but the EMPs and the amount of bio here from HeRoMaRiNE is so good. He's chasing Classic through the middle of the map. If he can get into the lifeline here, get rid of that Prism, get rid of these High Templar, this game is going to be his.
Oh, a beautiful pick off on that. He's chasing him home as well. The EMPs have landed everywhere. Very few Psystorms left over, but it looks like HeRoMaRiNE going to run down here and regroup before his next attack.
Yeah, just heal up a few more hit points there on those medevacs. Looks like he's going to break a couple of them off to the south here to try and see if Classic's trying to re-expand. The Vikings leading the charge. Wants to get some pot shots off on those Colossi. He still keeps missing that Nexus. Oh, that's a nice storm on those stacked up Vikings. They're going to get died. Oh, wow, that's a very, very quick cleanup there on those Vikings.
Yeah.
They're suddenly here and they're suddenly not there.
Oh my God, the Nexus, almost all of the economy of Classic is just below this drop, but he has not seen it. This set of Stalkers will chase him back. No, he didn't see the Nexus there.
It's amazing.
Classic getting a little bit lucky.
He is getting a little bit lucky, but he's going to need to get very, very lucky when the Terran decides that when the time is to attack. HeRoMaRiNE is up 70. Army supply here, Artosis with double upgrade advantage. And he is still making those Vikings, so he can actually engage Classic's army very, very well. The only thing that's keeping Classic alive right now is his splash damage, his storms and his Colossi. When that's gone, the bio will be more than happy to just cut through that gateway unit count like a knife through butter.
Oh, these Marines actually spot that base. So many probes down here. He's going to force them to run away, killing quite a few. And that is really such an important base for Classic. He must keep that alive while he refills his army.
And it looks like HeRoMaRinE might have picked his next battlefield here. He can go for the throat because he's moving up to that. Oh, I like this. He's just being so annoying here with these Marines, finding so much damage. And again, his army is just mastodonic in size, not unlike himself.
Well, he just killed so many probes in that bottom left. Classic's economy is broken. His army is broken. Like you said, it's just down to his splash damage. It's the only thing keeping him in this game.
There are so many ghosts here, so many Vikings as well. HeRoMaRinE being almost frustratingly patient at this point, but he just doesn't want to throw this game away. He's playing it perfectly right now. He's doing such a great job.
Sending 3 medevacs down towards that other base. Still roaming with the main bulk of his army. So many ghosts in there. Really has a lot of firepower right now. And I think that this split is going to be very hard for Classic to deal with. Look at this. Classic's trying to come down, and HeRoMaRinE pounces on the army.
And High Templars there have been EMP'd. They're completely dry of shields and energy, so they have to be turned into Archons to fight. These Colossi still battered and bruised from earlier. This army from Classic isn't an army. There is just too much Terran here. He's going to eat a couple storms, but it will not matter. That is so much HeRoMaRinE, and we are about to go to Game 5. GG!
Wow.
Turns out this series is an anime.
Yes, indeed. HeRoMaRinE. Like I said, he was just making it interesting losing the first 2 games. This kid is becoming a true monster of Terran.
Oof. What a series to start off Group C, Artosis.
Yeah.
You know what? We are dumpstering the group stage of last year's Global Finals.
Oh, yeah.
This is...
I don't even remember what happened last year.
We already did that with the first day, and then we had that ridiculous Group B. And Group C is a very, very... I mean, there are no easy groups here. And this one is starting off with an absolute action-packed, barn burner of a match.
Every group looks really close. Even Group B, everyone was saying was really close until Cyril just shut everyone up. Just told us to shut our dirty mouths and free out everyone. But
the champ looks so good.
He does.
There's no way he's the most favored player in this. Anyone out there thinks anyone's more favored than him might have to pay a little bit closer of attention. But the game has begun, guys. Game number 5, HeRoMaRinE and Classic. Let's get into it. HeRoMaRine's been blocking out the sun, but Classic is happy to fight in the shade. In the bottom right, he is...
Makers Classic.
And in the top left, airlifted into this country. And just one map away from getting that first win, he is...
Mouse Esports, HeRoMaRinE.
Is he airlifted in the same way that a Jaeger is airlifted to fight a kaiju?
And it even plays that song when he shows up. I mean, HeRoMaRinE is technically a kaiju.
Oh,
I
wow.
believe, yes. He's a biological thing that's just way bigger than it's supposed to be.
I hope we get him versus Cyril at some point in this event.
It's going to be great. HeRoMaRinE, I mean, all the you know, the players in Europe, primarily practice in Europe, have a very good versus Zerg, but HeRoMaRinE has time and time again, and a lot of the Terrans in Korea and outside Korea have been just like, oh god, just beating Cyril is too hard. TVZ is very, very hard, especially when you're up against the Finnish phenom himself.
Well, let's take a look at what they're going to do in this game here. Looks like pretty standard openers, a Reaper expand against just the Nexus play here from Classic. I think that Classic right now is probably getting a little bit nervous, right? The first 2 games seem so cut and dry, so straightforward. And then he kind of, you know, he messed up in attack in Game 3. We can definitely say that. But he kind of got outpowered there in Game 4. HeRoMaRinE really just played very solidly, did what he was supposed to do, and got the job done. And as Classic, for someone to do that to you, the only Terran that ever does that to Classic is Maru.
No, you're not wrong. I actually can't even think of another Terran that that can.
You give him any
make
other
Classic
Terran,
do
like
that.
even like a TY or a Gumiho or, you know, an Innovation, and it doesn't look like that, you know.
Reaper getting in here just before the Adept is out and having a good look around, counting the pylons, doing all the early game stuff that you want to do here as a Terran. And yeah, I mean, HeRoMaRiNE's been playing very, very standard, and oddly enough, like unpredictably, really for me, like I expected Classic to be a lot more aggressive in this series. You know, no proxy gateway stuff. You know, no crazy giant attack timings from Classic. He's just sort of like playing very, very standard, getting double forge more often than not. and just happy to play like mid to late game against the Terran.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he's so sharp at getting things like his Colossus tech out on time. It feels like there's no real way to kill him with a normal build here, and I think that this build that he's chosen, the Twilight, is going to be a little bit stronger than the Stargate opener. I'm actually not the biggest fan of Stargate openers right now. Definitely you can see some great moves with things like Phoenixes, but for instance, that push that we saw from HeRoMaRinE in the previous game, I feel like that is a great counter to it, where you just hit the critical mass and suddenly the Phoenixes have a hard time, and you know, it gets very hard to actually end up defending your third base.
Yeah, it does feel like Stargate openings are a little bit flimsy if someone just goes for a +1 attack Widow Mine.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like
exactly.
The Phoenixes are great for lifting those things up. I mean, we saw them, you know, pick off tanks, pick off Widow Mines, that sort of thing, but they just aren't really a fighting unit.
No, unless you're Showtime and you just drag all the mine hits to kill all the Marines.
That's right, unless you bring the mines to the Terran units, that's for sure. And we are just seeing things round up. A very standard Blink opening here for Classic. HeRoMaRinE, of course, getting up his triple barracks production stem. All that good stuff from Terran on his side of the map as his second gets saturated and secured. And how do you feel about Triton in this matchup, Artosis? I don't have any strong thoughts on it. It's a very wide map. It's girthy.
Yeah,
Big K being girthy himself, he's probably
true.
You know, feeling very comfortable in this map.
No, he fits in this map very well. So, I mean, as far as this map goes, there's one game for me that's like pretty memorable that I really liked, which was one of Dream's games on this map, where he kind of focused on holding the watchtower, which gave him the ability of counterattacking or defending rather quickly. And I really liked that approach. It just kind of stuck out to me as a really cool way to play it with that position, because you do have the tall grass around it. Obviously, we don't see that type of play from HeRoMaRinE. But it looks like he's going to come in with a mine drop here towards his third base.
Well-placed pylon from Classic, so he knows all about it. Moving to intercept here with those Stalkers. So the Widow Mines, I mean, you don't really boost over 4 Stalkers. You just kind of got to be patient here as HeRoMaRinE. Maybe even just force the probes to go away from the third base as it gets closer and closer to finish. Like, you are threatening the third and the natural, and Classic doesn't really want to split up those Stalkers just yet.
Do you know what I would really like to see here? Is for him to hold position this where it can't be hit. Yeah,
right there.
And then do his push. Because right now he's playing against a double forged Blink opener with a quick third base. If he hits his normal timing attack, all the units are going to have to come out. Right? And then you can utilize this medevac again. It's in a wonderful position where maybe you can flank the army. Maybe you can force certain units not to be in the fight against you, right? Because with this Blink opener, you actually want to harass the Terran army as it moves towards you. But if it's trying to defend against that medevac, it can't really do that, can it?
No, not really. And there is definitely an attack timing coming in for Artosis. Everything's lining up here for HeRoMaRinE to come with that +1 attack.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Classic moving out with these Blink Stalkers, which is, you know, pretty common. His Observer sees that the Terran's just about ready for this push. He's waiting for those medevacs.
Of course, he should be making a third base behind this as he goes.
Don't blink up in there. Don't do it. Don't do it.
He might.
All right,
there
up
he goes. Look, if this slows down HeRoMaRinE a lot, HeRoMaRiNE's not turning around. Beautiful, decisive play here from HeRoMaRinE.
Yeah, this is a mistake from Classic. Loses a couple Stalkers there, does not find value for them, and that is a scary push, Artosis.
Oh my god, look at this. He's throwing down a cannon. He knows that those Widow Mines could fly in at any time. He's in a lot of trouble. He's warping in these gateways still. His 1-1 not quite done. His charge not quite done. HeRoMaRinE getting very close on the map. He's already past the center. Or back to the center.
Back to the center. He's moving out. He's moving back. HeRoMaRiNE's, it looks like he's going to get a third on location here, but the attack timing is coming. Every second that Classic has here is good for the Protoss. He's going to get more and more warp-ins. He's going to get charged closer and closer to done. 1-1 closer and closer to done.
Well, all the
Widow Mines. Oh, those probes are so stacked up. Oh my god! 11 probes going down. And there's the push from HeRoMaRiNE. It has arrived.
Oh, a beautiful push here. He gets some great tank volleys off those force fields, not doing too much for him. Charges forward. Classic decides he has to attack. Oh my god, HeRoMaRiNE having a good engage, except here on the left side, the Zealots are reducing that bioforce.
And these tanks are still doing so much damage to those Immortals, which have to be pushed back. The bio is reinforcing here for the middle of the map here for HeRoMaRiNE. He has some more Widow Mines as well, but the Charge Lots are on top of the tanks. Classic is fighting back. Can he get that second tank? One more shot for the Immortal. No, he gets pushed back. HeRoMaRiNE has a couple low hit point Immortals plucked off here. The Charge Lots might be enough to push him back in the end. But
Oh.
HeRoMaRinE, with that probe damage and the third on location, is looking really nice, and he still hasn't been pushed away yet.
58 army supply to 9. It looks like
Oh.
HeRoMaRinE may have done it with this beautiful push. The pinning maneuver there of the medevac with the mines. Just some phenomenal play out of our German Terran.
Absolutely, the charge loss coming on in to grab that tank, but they're going to get softened up by the Widow Mines. The Immortal, not even too useful right now. There's too many Marines. The medevacs are out of energy. He started stepping back, but HeRoMaRinE just continues to reinforce, and there is just nothing in production here for Classic. He's making 4 zealots. He needs more than that here. He needs to just take a favorable engagement, but I don't see how he can do it.
Oh, it is not going to happen. Look at that, runs into the mine. That is going to be that. Classic has no chance. HeRoMaRinE just bashing through absolutely everything.
Oh,
GG!
GG! Big game, reverse sweeps Classic here for the first series of Group C. What a gargantuan play for a gargantuan human being.
Beautifully done by HeRoMaRinE. Those first 2 games, you know, it felt like he had some opportunities that he ended up missing, but he brought it back. Just rock solid play out of HeRoMaRinE after that moment. He was hitting his timings, he was keeping the pressure on, and he really outplayed Classic there at the end.
And HeRoMaRinE super capitalized on that overextension. There's Blink Stalkers there on the main base. He was like, oh no, I'm completely fine. He's actually probably having a little bit of that cheeky smile on his face there as he sees those Stalkers go down. As he's like, oh, I'm not going home, not for that.
No, that was such a decisive, great call too, because Classic, you were calling it. You were saying, oh, I don't know if you should be blinking in here. He was looking to force HeRoMaRinE to turn around because he knew he was going to be in trouble, but HeRoMaRinE did not take the bait.
A beautiful TVP there to start things
Really?
off with HeRoMaRinE upsetting a lot of predictions out there. I mean, Classic definitely favored in the series. He even said in his interview with a small smile on his face, is like, I'm so confident in PvT. This is my series. HeRoMaRinE almost the exact opposite. It's like, no, I don't think this is going to happen for me, but it has happened. A 3-2 victory for our German Terran. Let's get an interview with HeRoMaRinE and Smix.
What a humongous victory. Just an absolute massive comeback from Big Yape here going up against Classic. HeRoMaRinE, you were down 0-2, then you won 3 maps in a row to pull off that comeback against both the GSL and Super Tournament champion. Tell us what that's like.
After I went down 2-0, and then in the third match he attacked me with that Colossus Phoenix army, I kind of felt like that was it because it looked very scary. But after I defended and then eventually won the game pretty comfortably afterwards, I gained some confidence because he was relying a lot on timings. So that worked out because I wasn't reading it very well. But in general, I had an idea on how he's going to play. So then I could use some strategies in order to beat his.
You just talked about how you were down 0-2, and especially on those first 2 maps, it just didn't feel like you were able to showcase your play to your utmost ability. Talk to us about what went wrong on those first 2 maps.
The second map, I did my tank timing that I think is quite powerful, but he caught me in the middle of the map and I stimped my bio units. So then I took a fight like 10 seconds later. My army was a little bruised because of that. So he won that game pretty easily as a result. The first game, I don't know, like he started vetoing, and the veto system is so that you can pick the first map immediately, and I feel like Thunderbird is pretty rough for a turn. I don't really know how to win that game. I guess I should have never attacked and hope for the best in late game.
Well, as you mentioned, with the victory on that third map, you did gain a lot of confidence back, and we witnessed a very, very exciting 4th map where there was so much going on. Talk to us about that initial attack that you had where you were able to hit him before his 1-1 finished.
Yeah, that was my tank timing that I think is pretty powerful. Nobody really plays it in Korea, I think, so I decided to use that strategy as a result. Because the normal timing without tanks and just 3x bio is pretty common. Mine can hit a little earlier, so sometimes if he's not on top of his build and a little sloppy, I can get a lucky timing. He was relying on, so in that last game he was relying on the Stalkers to do counter damage, but I was expecting that at the perfect amount of bio there. That was kind of fortunate, I would say, because it could have gone differently as well, but as a result I wasn't delayed and I could just walk across the map before his upgrades finished.
And there was one other pivotal moment where you were able to take out both of his forges before his 3-3 finish. What went through your mind at that moment? Because it was pretty epic to watch.
After seeing the forges right there, like I was expecting maybe the Stargate to be there, but the forges I wasn't expecting. Yeah, that was a turning point, I would say, because I forgot my 3-3 at the same time. So if we would have gotten the upgrade advantage, I think I could have lost that game.
Well, now you just have one more opponent if you want to make it to Anaheim in the easiest way possible. It's going to be either Rainer or Hero. Rainer, you have a lot more experience playing in that WCS circuit. Hero, of course, you haven't played in quite a few years in official matches, so do you have a preference there?
Not really. I don't really know what to expect from Hero. Rainer, on the other hand, is a little wild card to me right now as well because he's been playing in Korea and he seems to be doing much better than he does in Europe. So I don't know. I think both are going to be quite hard. And yeah, I mean, I have 2 chances now, so we'll see how it goes.
Well, for now, at least, congratulations once again with that very, very impressive victory over Classic. We are going to be right back, guys. When we come back, we'll have our second match coming up with Rainer taking on Hero.